Welcome back to the Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We're here with an entire new series for you, a completely YouTube exclusive fantasy hockey series. So usually, obviously, we're always on the podcast, but this time we're launching something entirely new for YouTube. So let me explain to you before you start wondering, what the hell is this? Why is there neon on the side of my screen here? And what is going to happen during this? So the idea was that every year when we do our podcast, we give advice every week, right? Who to pick up, maybe who to target in a trade, all that kind of good stuff. And every year we get the same questions as in, well, what about this situation? In this situation, should I drop someone? In this situation, should I drop someone? What about trades? Should I be looking to trade this person now? What is a marker for someone when they should get traded? And on top of that, we also get a lot of questions on what do you guys do in leagues? How about you guys talk a little bit more about your leagues on the show? And we tried that for a little bit, and it didn't really work. People didn't like it. I didn't really like it as much. It didn't connect as well because there wasn't a storyline, right? It was just all of a sudden oh, I made some trade. Cool. So we're going to do something entirely new this year. And it's going to be a little bit I think you should view it as a on top of the podcast sort of thing. So you're listening to the podcast, hearing all the advice we give, and here it is in action. So the whole idea behind building winners, and cheekily calling it a fantasy hockey story, building winners is all going to be about following three completely different leagues of mine. So we're going to be following Hawkrus. You'll see all the stuff at the top up there. You'll see standings and record once the season actually starts. This is week 1, so we're just going to go into a little bit of a preview. We're going to be following Hawkrus, which is a Cats league, a banger Cats league. We're going to be following CI Episode 6, which is a points league, and we're going to be following the ECFHL, which is my keeper league. So we're going to be following all three of those, and it'll be kind of a narrative. We'll do this every single week, maybe sometimes in the middle of the week when big things happen. We'll be following my trades, my pickups, maybe start candidates, and I'm also going to be looking to you, the audience, to help me make some decisions. So for example, say I'm between a start on a Saturday when I make this on a Monday, you're going to help me make the decision on who to start. So I'll put that down in the comments. I want to hear discussions. I want to think about it as if you've ever watched GM mode commentary for EA NHL. This is essentially the same thing, but for fantasy. We're going to be giving commentary on a league, on different fantasy decisions, on trades and everything. So that's the whole idea behind it, and hopefully also it's useful. I like to think of it as when you're watching a draft, and I give you pick discussion and strategies and all kind of stuff during a draft. It's the same thing, but during a season now. Now you get pickup and trade discussion and strategy in season. So it's the same thing as doing a draft, but with a league. So really excited to do it. If you want to stay tuned with it, of course, make sure to subscribe if you're finding us through however. There's also 3 episodes a week of content that are going to be coming out. And on top, now we have this, which is essentially our advice in action. So let's start first by going over my teams and remembering who I drafted. So you saw me draft every single one of these leagues. So in every single one of these leagues, you saw me draft the teams that I have. Those are up there. If you want to go back and watch, I'll put the links in the description. And on top of that, also, if you want to jump to a specific league, let's say during the middle of the season, you get hooked on ECFHL, but don't really care about the points leagues or anything like that, I'll put the timestamps always to when each league is being discussed down in the comments. So looking at Hawkrus, let's take a look first at the categories for those who don't remember. So there's goals, assists, PIMs, power play points, shots on goal, hits, and blocks. And then for goaltenders, it's just wins, goals against average, and save percentage. That's it. That's the only thing we're looking at for goaltending. Now, let's take a look at the team here. I am very thrilled with how I did in this draft. Steven Stamkos, Evgeny Malkin, Evander Kane, Jonathan Huberdeau, Andrei Svechnikov, Jeff Skinner, John Carlson, Dougie Hamilton, Drew Doughty, Radko Gudas, Anders Lee, Dustin Brown, Nikita Gusev, Jason Zucker, and on IR, plus we have Joel Persson. In net, we have Devin Dubnyk, Jacob Markstrom, and Philip Grubauer. Now, here's the first move I made this season, is I picked up Jacob Markstrom. The reason I picked up Markstrom, even though I have 3 goaltenders, I know we've said in the past, when you have an averages league, like goals against average and save percentage, goaltenders aren't necessarily as valuable, and that is true. The thing that happened is in this league, there were a lot of teams that got absolutely screwed in net. And so they have terrible goaltenders. And Markstrom was the best option left on the wire. And my team is good enough on forwards that I can kind of weather the storm for a little bit in case I'm missing a little bit of skater stats. But for the most part, I picked him up as also a hedge against Grubauer, because Grubauer is a little bit of a question mark in terms of, can he handle a full load? And on top of that too, like if let's say all three of them are crushing it, then cool. I'll just trade whichever one. I'll try to trade at least whichever one has the most value, whichever one people are willing to pay the most for. So it's really just a hedge, and also just recognizing that my skaters are strong, and so I don't necessarily gain that much this week by adding a skater. Okay, so a few tips on what I do in a season. First off, rule number one: don't trade early. I never ever make trades early, and the reason for that is because when you're trading for people, people are trading at their draft value, not at their actual value. So when you look at a Jonathan Huberdeau, for example, last year he finished 17th overall in this league, right? That's worth a lot. That is worth a lot to a lot of people. But the problem is that I drafted him in the 6th round, 62nd overall. So people at most, if let's say they think they're buying, like let's say they think they're overpaying, they'll probably think giving like 50th overall value is overpaying. And that's dumb. I think he has way more potential than that. So there's no point, in my opinion, to really do that. They have him actually, interestingly enough, I guess I drafted him kind of right around his projection. So they have him projected for 50 overall. I think he can get better than that. So I'm going to hold. But again, just hold on to players. Don't trade early, unless you're getting like an absolute steal. Unless someone is like offering up a player to you and you're just like, I can't pass this up. Then sure, think about it. And I don't hate it in that situation. Okay, so the next thing here to take a look at, I have Evander Kane who may get suspended. That's fine. I can weather that storm as well. I'm still high on Evander Kane for obvious reasons. I mean, you know, people had said you took him a little bit too early and everything. Fine. But if you look at 2018, 2019, he finished 5th overall. 2017, 2018, he was 22nd overall. I think I got him like 28th overall or something like that. 35th overall. Come on, that's a steal for a guy who 2 years in a row has been this high. So I'm high on him doing well this year. So let's take a look at my matchup too. I'm playing against a bronze player this week, which doesn't really matter at this instance. I do think I have a huge leg up on this team. So I don't think they've set their lineups yet. Unfortunately, so they have 61 games played. I have 82 games played, which is really good. I think Brandon has 85 this week. So I'm around maybe like the 2nd or 3rd highest in games played this week. I try to be high in that every single week. Let's go back to my team here and just take a look. Let's do this together for this time and try to see if there's any hard decisions. So Wednesday, not really benching anybody. I already did the whole start active players thing. Thursday, not benching anybody. Friday, we're not benching anybody. Saturday is going to be this first time. So this is this Saturday. This is a tough one. So I think here, so I have Zucker and Zvech on the bench. I'm going to bench Zucker for sure. I think the big question mark comes in forward. Who do I play him for? I'm debating putting Zvech in for Gusev. I'm kind of I'm going to give it some time. And maybe make this decision late. But what I'm looking at is Gusev plays Buffalo, who's a pretty bad team, honestly, and I'm high on Jersey being able to do something. So I think that I'd like Buffalo. I like Gusev at Buffalo right now more than I like Zvech at Washington, I think, potentially. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments what you think there about that one. Dustin Brown, of course, is an option as well, but I mean, it's Edmonton. I'll take a top power play guy against Edmonton any day of the week, even though he's ranked lower and everything. And then in net, we have the decision of Philip Grubauer, Devin Dubnyk, or Jacob Markstrom that day. I think there's a back-to-back for one of these guys, potentially. He is not in a back-to-back. Okay, maybe none of them are in a back-to-back, and I misremembered that. Okay, so none of them are back-to-back, so I kind of got to make a decision here on what to do. I think this is the right avenue here right now. Dubnyk at Colorado and Grubauer versus Minnesota. Colorado is scary, though, and they have Rantanen. But so is Calgary. Calgary is also scary. Maybe I bench both of them, but benching both of them is not terrible. Let's do that. Let's bench them both for now because I'm obviously going to be fine on goaltending starts this week, and it's not really worth the risk early. Like, I have so many goalie starts. It's a combined week, right? So there's a lot of days here that are going to count. It's not worth taking a risk here this early. I'll just play Grubauer against Minnesota. I'm high on that team. Now, I could play Dubnyk and get an automatic win, but we'll see how Dubnyk does in his first few games. I think if Dubnyk crushes in his first two games, then maybe I think about this. But otherwise, I won't. And this is, I think, his second game, so I actually won't know. We'll see how he does at Nashville. If he crushes it, I'll think about that a little harder. And then I don't think I really have any benching situations until the Saturday after. And I'm not going to get into that because then this video would be forever. I'm gonna do a week 1.5 this Monday, so we're only gonna go through Sunday for these leagues here. Okay, so the rule number 2 that I'm gonna give, and I'm just doing these like kind of rules. It's a primer to the season essentially with Hawkrust. I won't do these with the other 2 teams for now. But the rule number 2 is gonna be patient. Be really, really patient on players. If you took somebody and you think they're going to be a steal, say you took them 11th round or whatever, and you think that they have potential, wait on them. Wait like 2 weeks. That's important. And the way to prepare yourself for that I always like to do is do this, right? Where you're going through the roster and seeing, okay, when I do have to bench, like let's just for the sake of this discussion here, let's go to this Saturday. So on this Saturday, you see that yet again, Jason Zucker's the one getting benched. So I know for a fact right now that let's say there was some player that was just lighting it up this week, right? Very early, all of a sudden gets top power play. It's just killing it. You want to pick up the hot hand. Have an idea from a scheduling standpoint, not from a rank standpoint. Have a scheduling standpoint idea of who you want to drop. So like, for example, I know Zucker. So in this league, my drop would be Zucker if there's a hot hand. And that's what you want to do. Instead, what happens is if you don't do that and you don't have an idea going into each week, who would be my streaming drop? If you don't have that idea, what ends up happening is you get there and you're like, oh my God, there's a hot hand. I need to pick him up. Who do I do? Oh, well, this player hasn't been good for the past week, so I'm going to drop him. And then what happens is that drop comes back to bite you in the butt later because you should have never dropped him because they just had a down week. So, of course, that'll also get into unsustainable episodes that we do eventually, but that's the smartest way to avoid dropping a player that could potentially be good, is just have an idea from a scheduling standpoint, who's someone you're not playing as much or not playing on heavy days, and then make that switch. Okay, and then right now for this week, we don't really need to roster maximize, so we're not going to go over any kind of tools or roster maximization right now. I don't think I really have any players on watch right now. Let's take a look at FA for a second. Sort by current on rest of season. Remaining games right here. Okay, so let's go by remaining games, projected, and filter. Okay, so right now the best players available are Backlund, Stepan, Dunn, Tuck. I mean, if I need block help, which I may, Seabrook's not a terrible option. One thing that I like, because I have Gudas, if my forwards are killing it, and let's say a Zucker isn't, I could drop Zucker for a defenseman, and I can stream a defenseman pretty well for blocks and hits because Gudas has so many off nights. So that's one thing to pay attention to for me. Obviously, Spurgeon is someone who gets points, shots, and blocks. So I guess I'll kind of pay attention to Spurgeon. I'm not going to put any forwards on watch right now because I care more about the defense situation. And let's put Clefbaum on there just in case Clefbaum can keep that top power play and actually does something. Don't know if that's going to happen, especially with how bad the lines are in Edmonton. Yeah, with how bad the lines are in Edmonton, even 5-on-5, I think they'll struggle. Let's see. Was Neal picked? If James Neal was not picked, I just want to put him on watch simply because he's going to be playing most likely top. Okay, he's available. So James Neal is someone to put on watch for me because he's going to be playing top line with McDavid, it seems, right now. And it seems to be anytime someone gets fed the puck from McDavid, they can do stuff. But I'm still low on Neal just from an overall standpoint. He might be a good streamer option, but not necessarily a good, like, hold on for a long time option. But that's going to be my watches. Okay, so there you go. So that was Hawkrust. Not too many moves to make this time. I feel good about my team. I also like taking it a little bit slow and seeing how teams will do. So let's see. Let's switch over now to the next league, which is CI episode 6. Okay, so you can see here we have a little bit of a Star Wars thing going on. As always, is named after a kind of Star Wars character. So Land of Petey last year, I finished 4th. Very disappointing. Got crushed in the 3rd place game as well. But I feel good about my team going into this year. So this week so far, of all the people that have kind of set lineups, I'm the 2nd highest, aside from 5K Yandles in the Wind, who when I did the draft, I said I liked their team a lot. So let's go back to my team, and also let's take a look at league settings for a second here. Yahoo is acting weird. Sorry. Let's go to settings here. Okay, cool. So here's the point values. Goals are worth 3. Assists are worth 2. Shorthanded goals are 2. Forget about shorthanded goals. Game-winning goals are 1. Shots on goal are 0.1. Hits are 0.1. Blocks are 0.2 for goaltenders. Wins are worth 3.5. Goals against are -2, saves are 0.25, and shutouts are 3.5. Okay, so there you go. I'll also add in the future. I think I'm gonna bring up these boxes and put the cats or the point values down below so that you can kind of follow along with what it is. Okay, so here's my team. Alexander Barkov and Pierre-Luc Dubois at center, Timo Meyer, Kyle Connor, David Pastrnak, Cam Atkinson, Giordano, Chabot, Hamilton, Gostisbehere, Kreider, Brown, and Kopi. And then in net, I've got Bobrovsky, Carey Price, and Jacob Markstrom. I am thrilled. I'm so happy with my goaltending. It's elite goaltending for this league. Easily elite goaltending for this league. So I'm excited to see what they can do, especially Bob, of course. So let's go through here and see what exactly are some decisions I need to make through Sunday, if any. I haven't gone through this roster yet, actually. The only one I'd gone through was Hawkrus, so this is all new to me. Good starts here, getting a lot of goalie starts, which is nice. Goalie starts in this league are crucial. And then this is going to be Friday. And then this is that Saturday. Okay, so we've got similar decision to the Markstrom situation here. Eesh, Bob versus Tampa, that Florida rivalry. That is not ideal. Okay, so yeah, you guys are going to need to help me with this one as well, I think. Or just, I want to know what you think. It's the Carey Price, Bobrovsky, and Markstrom situation. I don't mind Carey Price at Toronto. They're so high scoring, but it's Carey Price, and he's just going to get a lot of saves, if anything. It feels dumb to bet against Bob this early, but Braden Point is back, it seems. I think he'll be back for this game. And then at Calgary for Jacob Markstrom. So I like Bob because he's at home as well. I think the decision I'd have to make would potentially be Price and Markstrom, maybe. I think that'd be tough. Okay, let's look at the forwards here. So we've got Dustin Brown, Kopi. I'm not going to play Kopi over any of these centers. I like Pierre-Luc Dubois. I guess it's at... Actually, maybe we do Kopitar over Dubois because Kopitar is at Edmonton. And like I said in Hawkrus, I prefer this at Edmonton than I do Dubois at Pittsburgh. I think that'll be a tough matchup for Columbus. And if anything, it'll just be kind of an offensive stalwart, I think. And then looking at the right wings here, yeah, I'm not playing Brown over Pastrnak or Atkinson. I think I like it's hard to play Brown over either of those two. I mean, Brown may be a drop candidate eventually if he's not getting a lot of starts, just because I have such strong right wings here that I'm not. It's going to be tough to justify playing him over them. I think Atkinson is probably the one that swaps in with Brown the most. So that's going to be something to pay attention to. It might be worth picking up like a left wing, right wing, or a right wing. And Timo Meyer has left wing, right wing for what it's worth. But it's going to be worth checking, maybe getting one of those kinds of guys where it's a kind of left wing, right wing situation, or just a right wing that gets a lot of off nights and it's just additive as opposed to having to make these decisions. Okay, and then on Sunday, let's take a look here. So not many starts. This is fine. And of course, we have Dougie Hamilton. I love that we have 4 top power play defensemen here, potentially in Dougie Hamilton. He better be top power play with my 9 shares in him. Okay, and then let's take a look at the matchup here. I'm not sure if Brock Best Monster set their lines yet. I don't think they have because they only have 54. But let's see what they have for decisions on Saturday. I always like seeing what decisions they have on Saturdays. So it looks like they're going to be able to put in Clayton Keller. I would guess that they play Aho over Backstrom. That would be my guess there. And then in net, they've got David Riddick, Leonard, and Anderson. So Riddick may split starts early here. We'll see. So that may be a good thing for me on this extended week that Riddick is going to split. So I think this could end up being a close matchup depending on what happens once he sets his lines. Potentially. We'll see. I think I'll have him beat, but we will see. Okay, let's take a look at the free agent list. Switch over to remaining games here as well. In the future, we'll do more like lineup maximization and things like that as weeks go on. Right now, I just don't want to make too many moves. I want to see what I've got and give these guys a chance to prove themselves. So I always call him Bo Horvat was announced as captain. he is interesting to me. He is a center, which is a little bit of a problem, but he's interesting if, let's say, he were somehow to sneak on a top power play or something. Nick Schmaltz is interesting if he gets top power play or top line. Don't really care about Tuck too much. Nyquist with his left wing, right wing is slightly interesting, but not really, because he's not getting anything exciting from a. Oh, I thought Konechny, something happened to Konechny there. So Konechny I like as well. Kevin Hayes don't really care about. Tyler Bertuzzi is interesting. They have quite a few off nights as well. So Tyler Bertuzzi is definitely somebody to watch in a lot of leagues. Andreas Janssen is out there. Andreas Janssen is interesting. That's someone who may need to be a pickup really quick as a streamer option. And that left wing, right wing is nice. The problem is Toronto just doesn't really have many off nights. Let's take a look at who my left wing. I forget who my left wing is. Chris Kreider actually has. Do I have Chris Kreider? I do. So he has a lot of off nights. So that's my off night left winger. It'll be tough to play him over Connor or Meyer, most likely, but it'll be close. I mean, they're not that far off. Okay, well, that'll be something to watch. Okay, so there you go. So that's this one. Not too many decisions again in this one, except for that Saturday, deciding between the goaltenders and deciding whether I actually want to trust Kopi over Pierre-Luc Dubois. So that's the hard decision. There seems like there'll be a few close matchups. I like that Give Me a Break is playing 5K Yandles. These are probably two of my, I think, Have a Merry Christmas, Give Me a Break, and 5K Yandles in the Wind will be the toughest opponents this year. Brock Bess always gives me a hard time too, so I think this league will be pretty competitive. Okay, so there you go. So that is CI episode 6. Let's move over to my keeper league in ECFHL. So here is ECFHL. I need to turn off all these ads as well. Yahoo should pay me for how many ads I'm showing on these streams. So last year I finished 9th. I kind of tanked a little bit on purpose. I was in competition for potentially making the playoffs, and then I thought, you know what, in a keeper league, if you're just barely making playoffs like the Minnesota Wild do every year, you're just asking for trouble. You're just asking to be mediocre every year. So I made trades, made some moves, tried to get the keepers that I wanted, and that's how I ended up with the keepers that I did in Connor McDavid, Patrick Kane, and Taylor Hall. So in this one, I'm not sure if I've started all active players. So, of course, the first thing to always do every week is to start all your active players. That animation is so satisfying when you see it all filled in. You're like, yep, I'm all set. Okay, so let's take a look here. I only have 3 bench and 1 goaltender bench, so I'm not too worried. My goaltenders are great here, too, in Connor Hellebuck, Markstrom, and Vasilevsky. Good luck beating me in saves. It's not going to happen, most likely. I don't want to jinx it, but, you know. Okay, so no decisions there. Let's just go straight to Saturday, because I'm pretty sure that's the only place I have decisions to make here. Okay, so we've got Nick Schmaltz. Kind of sucks that we have an empty right wing spot here. That's disappointing. Zibanejad plays at Ottawa, so I'm obviously not benching. I don't have to make a goaltender decision here, which is really nice. So no goaltender decisions need to be made. That makes my life really easy. And then the only decision I really have to make here, I think, is this left wing situation in Nick Schmaltz. But he plays Boston, so definitely not playing Nick Schmaltz. And then Nico Hischier is the only one at Buffalo. I do like that a little bit. And the decision would be, do you play Hischier at Buffalo or Dubois at Pittsburgh? I think I'm going to go Hischier for this one for now. Let's see what these first games entail, of course, but I think for now I'm going to stick to going Nico Hischier. I am high on Hischier's upside, and I think they could get power play points in that one as well. So, sorry I didn't go over the Cats here, but goals, assists, power play points, shots on goal, hits, blocks. And then for goaltending, we've got wins, saves, and save percentage. So saves are a big thing. I don't foresee me making a lot of goaltender moves here, maybe trading or something, but I don't see me really making any moves. Potentially, I'd maybe pick up someone who like steals a starting role, and then trading like a Markstrom or Hellebuck for a Hall. That's something I could think about doing, but of course that kind of depends on what happens with time. And so I think right now my drop candidate in this league will be Nick Schmaltz. I don't really want to, because I want to see what exactly he's going to do, because he might get top power play, but he's definitely my drop candidate at the moment. So let's go over to the player list and see who's out there right now for projected. I'm just going to use Yahoo projected for this for now, just because it's normally decent. So Wayne Simmons isn't a terrible option. I do have Nico Hischier, so I'd be kind of doubling down on that top power play if I really do buy into it. Zach Parise is a really good left wing to think about potentially. He's kind of a sleeper with lots of shots on goal. He crushed it last year. Let's see what he was last year, actually. Let's take a look at what he was. So Zach Parise last year was the best player available right now on the wire. So I think what we can do is we can say, if we see Zach Parise start to heat up, and let's say he does really well in like the first 2 games, I'm probably going to grab Parise and drop Schmaltz, most likely. That's probably what I'm leaning towards. So that's probably one of the only people that I'm really thinking about here right now in this league that I'd kind of stream. Furland is another one if he can get top power play. Most possibly going to be playing with Besser and Pedersen, obviously. But then it's the power play is the big question mark with Furland. That's who we're wondering about. Is he going to get top power play or is he not? That's the question mark. And of course, there's Bertuzzi, who we like in other leagues as well. Colin Miller is someone just to watch for streaming options, at least in hits, but I don't really need that with Chernak. As long as Chernak keeps the pace. Buchnevich is available in this league, which is a keeper league, of course. So Buchnevich is interesting. He's young. People might overpay for him if he does well. I want to watch Kotkaniemi in case he gets top center. But I like Buchnevich is still there. That is exciting. I don't think I'm really lacking much in points, though. If we look at my team for a second here, I'm doing pretty solid in points. Where I could struggle is in blocks for sure. I almost feel like I near punted blocks without really meaning to. So that's one place that I may potentially want to clean up. Although I think that Chernak is a little bit underprojected when it comes to blocks. So taking a look at the matchup, how many games do I have in this extended week so far? 77, and they did set their line, so they have 83 games played. That'll be interesting. So I am outstarted right now by quite a bit, which could put me in some trouble peripheral wise. So at least this week, when I'm outstarted like this, I don't chase whatever they're good at. And right now, looking at their team quickly, they are going to destroy me in hits most likely. They have Oshie, Wilson, Hornquist. Yeah, I'm not chasing hits in this one, I think, and Seth Jones. I'm out on hits. That's okay. They do have a few non-hitters though, so we'll see. It should be a little bit close. Let's see who they have to make a decision on to start or sit. Only Hornquist. That hurts me. That makes me sad. But they only have 1 goaltender, so I'm right now, as it stands, I'm stealing all goaltender cats. So right now it looks like I'll be stealing all 3 goaltender cats, unless Ranta comes back and crushes it. I should at least steal saves for sure. I'll for sure steal saves, I'm pretty sure. Wins are a big question mark. Of course, save percentage can always go either way. I think for wins, I'll probably do okay in an extended week like this when they only have 2 goaltenders. So having saves locked up is good. So that pretty much is my saves to his hits. We're even there. So really it's an even matchup and will come down, I think, to goals, assists, and power play points and shots, which I'll have him on. And I think he'll take blocks most likely because he has guys like Jones. I guess not that many other people block, do they? Ellis kind of blocks, but Seth Jones and Pulak. So blocks will be tough to win, but there's a chance I maybe do something there. Okay, so there you go. That's it for that. That's pretty much the teams. I'm excited to go on this journey with you guys. Hopefully you find this interesting, and this is completely new territory for us. We want it to be useful and entertaining at the same time. So if you have thoughts on how it could be better, or if you have thoughts on what you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. Very, very open to suggestions, very open to hearing that it sucks. And of course, this is week 1. It's not as exciting. There's not as much happening. I can't really review scores or go over the next opponent's strengths or anything like that just yet. So I think it'll get better as it goes on in terms of being able to really make a storyline out of how each team is doing, who are they playing, and paying attention to everything that's going on around the league. We'll take a look at trades and waivers and all that kind of good stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, leave me feedback. If you did like this, be sure to subscribe so you can get it in the future. And other than that, thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time on Building Winners.